up for John Baptiste and Stay Human right over there. What a crazy world we live in, John.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, as Trump pointed out today, Charlottesville has only accelerated the call to remove these Confederate monuments across the South. Well, yesterday, a crowd in Durham, North Carolina, took matters into their own hands. Wow, that thing buckled quick. Must have been a monument to General Festus Crumbly Legs Johnson. And yesterday in Gainesville, Florida, workers peacefully removed a statue of a Confederate soldier from a county building, giving it to the group United Daughters of the Confederacy. I hope they enjoy it while they can. Those girls have got to be getting up in years. And it looks like even more of these monuments will be taken down, with such cities as Baltimore and Lexington, Kentucky, announcing their decision to remove Confederate statues. No word yet on where the statues will end up, but I'm guessing Steve Bannon's summer home. Now, it's nice for the garden. Peaceful. Now, I understand communities voting to get rid of painful reminders of the Confederacy, but it turns out removing them might not be the only way to achieve that. Take a look at this word from our new sponsor.
Is your town full of outdated Confederate statues symbolizing America's shameful legacy of racism?
Are you considering tearing them down or petitioning to have them removed in a legal-type fashion?
There must be a better way. Call us, Kopelski Twins Confederate Monument Modification Service.
Got a racist monument? You won't Confederacy it ever again.
You got yourself a Confederate soldier riding a horse? Lose the guy, keep the horse.
Hey, the horse didn't know about slavery.
He deserves emancipation.
What about you got some sort of old guy general?
No problem. Bigger mustache.
Give him a hat. Boom, Captain Crunch.
And why have Robert E. Lee on a podium when you can have a water slide?
You just went from Robert E. Lee
to Robert E.
Wee! Kopelski Twins Confederate Monument Modification Service. The racist, the racers. Call today.
We'll be right back with Daniel Craig. Stick around.